The people danced around the bonfire in a ritualistic fashion. They believed in gods of harvest. They showed gratitude for cycles of decay and rebirth. Lane saw candles in circles on the ground, in hands, and dotting the dais, where she could see the outline of a large cow. She drew nearer to the people as if in a trance, seeing all the suspended crafts hanging from the trees like celestial beings. They were forged in the fire and took the shape of large saucers, with drawings hung from branches like large coins, called oscilla, meaning little faces. They were offerings to the deities. Romulus must have drifted towards the vendors, trying to see what was for sale, but he was so far away now, as the first strand of daylight broke through, and Lane stood on a tree stump. She could see it. It was the thing that certain plants do, like sunflowers. They move towards what gives them life and energy, not only seeking the sun, but finding and embracing it. Her eyes latched more strongly onto the sacrificial bull Remus had tied onto the dais to ordain his commencement. She could not stop looking at it. It reminded her of the one she saw at the Daily Mansion, the day she got her palm reading from Mertes, and also of the cow Dad's friend Jeremiah owned, the one they called Dawn after Lane's father, which followed him around everywhere. Evidence of the skull and bones from a North African Barbary ape was discovered at Emain Macha in Ireland as far back as 390 BC. Giving reason that it must have traveled by ship. And Ireland wasn't the only country gathering up these animals. But why? She'd read stories about how the Roman Empire gathered the unique and strong animals from all over and made them fight each other or killed them with their new firearms for pleasure. Sometimes power became heedless and caused much suffering. But a lot of good came from Rome being built too. Still, what gave humans the right to think themselves the most dominant species? Long ago, we were hunters and gatherers and stewards of the land and animals, not lords over them. And that's why we were called humankind. But Lane herself wasn't perfect. She ate meat sometimes, so she didn't have any right to condemn anyone. It just seems so out of hand. Like, did they have to do so much of it? Had animals no autonomy? The planet systems were dying off and species were dying, and she did not have the answers, but at least she was trying to find them. The worst atrocity to happen to sheepkind came in the late 1990s. The sheep was the first mammal to be cloned, named Dolly. On sheep101.info. Dolly was born July 5th, 1996, from 3 different mothers. After 276 failed attempts, her life was a victory to science. Yet, she suffered arthritis, lung infection, and died young. The Royal Museum of Scotland put her on display, where she remained to this day, reminding Lane of the Cyclops goat in the museum they saw when her and Mom went to Eastern. Dolly's health problems developed possibly due to the fact that she was cloned from a 6-year-old ewe. This seemed a whole new level of unethical. Manipulating the DNA of species. Wasn't there some line between scientific exploration and species autonomy? In some ways, it helped people too, like the antivenoms that were formed. They tested on rabbits and horses, whose antibodies were similar to humans. This helped in finding a cure. But was it right for the animals? Who could say? She wondered if they'd do testing on humans if they volunteered. As for cloning, it didn't seem like they were that far off from cloning humans. And to this, Lane and Romulus agreed. One twin was enough. "Brother," Remus said, bowing, "there is food and drink. Come take part in our festivities." He offered his cup to Romulus. "In another life, we could have been friends. I don't see why we can't in this one," Remus said. Lane had strayed from Romulus. She hadn't realized the gap between them, but she could still hear Remus. She tried to bleat a warning, but she was too far away for him to hear her. Lane saw Romulus drink from his brother's cup. He seemed to be feeling unwell, resting his hands on his knees and shaking his head from side to side. It was like her and Ashley. They had been like twins, born on the same day, even though they weren't even sisters. And Lane's vision of the life she had thought she'd wanted. Remus pretended to want good things for his brother, the one who poisoned the earth, acting as both villain and savior, trying to become the new leader of the rebellion and take Romulus's place. Now Remus was leading him into a tent, giving him a chair to sit on. "Romulus, how can you do this to me? Now of all times." It was time to pull the wool from his eyes. Could he not see his brother was poisoning him and the sheep around them, tricking Lupina to think he was a decent son so he could exploit her? He would become the people's champion on the false pretenses of being their defender. Lane rushed off and found them inside the tent, realizing this time that it was too late. She imagined the lazy days of summer going by, with him sitting and not building his great city. A snake in the grass, and that snake was his brother. She nearly wept how easily he was led down the wrong track, like an aimless sheep. "No, I'm not going down that road. I am brave, resilient, strong," Lane said. "And beyond that, I am Lane." Maybe Romulus would not follow, but somehow it was going to work. She would find her voice again and tell everyone the truth, even as a sheep if she had to. If not she, then who? If not now, when? Remus seemed to turn as he spotted her, leaving Romulus under the tarp. She raced to beat Remus to the dais. Thanks for watching my video, guys. I'll be back with another video next Wednesday. Until then, ciao!